Hello, everybody. Good evening. My name is Danar and friends. Today we are going to presentation which titled doing a group presentation, negotiation and challenge experienced by 5 Chinese ESL students of commerce at Canadian University. We are Cecilia Viconti and me Danar Dono Sasongkojati, and the last, the girl with the veil, blue veil, her name is Elmawati. Okay, let's start by clicking the next slide. Okay, first I'm gonna bring the presentation. It's from our material. It's the rationale of the research study. I got from method. Number one, from a commerce undergraduates program at a large Canadian University volunteered to participate in the percent study. And second, the participants we were all from mainland China and spoke Mandarin Chinese as their first language. Yingxu, the only international student, came to Canada and studied at pre-university academic preparation program immediately after her graduation from high school. And third, ESM was a third-year management course on information systems. In the commerce program, this was a compulsory course for the students pursuing the bachelor degree in administrative studies, but an elective course for the students in other majors such as Yingxu Group, who majored in accounting. And fourth, Mr. Guo comments that ESM is important for any student who studies business, as business is increasingly using information technology or IT, and employees also expects graduates from commerce program to have a certain level of it awareness. And fifth, this article focus on the presentation task. This task intended to help students gain experience of working as group and speaking in front of group for their future job search, as Mr. Go explained in the interview. It's one way to encourage them to work as a group. Also, it helps them to get some presentation experience. Next slide. And still in the rationale of the research study, they are finding a negotiation and discussion, which negotiation there's a Ying Swiss group negotiate their understanding of the requirements on group members' language backgrounds at the beginning of their first group discussion. Ying Sui asked whether they were required to have a native speaker of English as a group member. This vision allowed the students to split the overall workload and to create synergy that may have led to higher group performance than individual work might have. And Yingxi's group built on each other's suggestions and reached an agreement for structuring their case analysis from the perspective of management, technology, organization, information system, and business situations as the textbooks does. And after that, Yingxi's group also negotiates their case analysis structure. As shown as except 2 and similar, the student donate in Donato, who collective strive to achieve grammatical accuracy for an oral first task. Yingsu group built on its other suggestion and reached an agreement for structuring their case analysis from the perspectives of management, technology, organization, information systems, and business solution as the textbooks does. And the last is the results also made them aware that the four speaker all exceeds the length of time. They then discussed and helped each other shorten their speech. Next. And my material will bring the title is the aims of research. There are also specified the admission language requirement of the English medium universities made to be fully competent in participating in or performing oral tasks in their disciplinary studies. And presentation, discussion, and brief and informal reports on assessment course readings. And the third is groups should not be so large as the group of the present study with a large group. Some students have the possibility to avoid learning opportunities intended by the instructor. And the last is without explicit instructions, students may aim to complete the assessment per se rather than going beyond this purpose by, for example, learning to adopt leadership roles and thus miss the opportunities for broad-based learning intended by their instructor. And next slide. So this slide, this material will be presentation by my partner. She is Elmawati.
Okay, thank you, Danar. Next, about the explanation, the presentation, C, context and participants. Okay, next, the context and participant. 5 ESL, students from a commerce or undergraduate program at large Canada, Canada University volunteered to participate in the present study. In this article, I use pseudonyms Yingsu, Fang, Liang, Jiang, and Guang for the participant. They work together onto group assessment, case presentation, and the term project for the course Information System Management ESM. Their profiles are summarized in the table 1. Okay, next slide. Next, the table 1, the explanation profile of student pseudonyms and their Yingsu, Fang, Liang, Jiang, and Guang. In this, the explanation about one by one and gender, female, male, male, and then uh, we look about the years of EFL student and then education in home country. We look the table about the high school, college, in the university engineering, and then university economic, and then university Japanese. We look about the table 1. Yeah. Okay. Next slide. So the participants were all from mainly China and spoke Mandarin Chinese as their first language. Yingsu, the only international student, come of Canada and studied at pre-university academic preparation program immediately after her graduation from high school. Whereas the others had all completed university of college education and worked in China for a few years before they immigrated to Canada. At the time of this study, Yingsu, Fang, and Liang were in the fourth semester of their student in the commerce program. whereas Guang was in the third semester and Jiang was in the second semester. For areas of presentation, I refer to this participant as Ying Su's group in the rest of this article. Next. And then ESM was a third year management course on information system in the commerce program. This was a compulsory course for the student pursuing the bachelor degree in administrative studies, but an elective course for a student in the major such as Ying Su's group, who major in accounting in the semester of the study. ESM had two, section one of which was taught by a full professor and the other by a part-time instructor to whom I have given the president Mr. Guo. ESM provides of the overview of information system and how such systems are selected, designed, and managed to who studied business. As a business increasingly using information technology or IT, and employers also expect graduates from commerce program to have certain level of IT awareness. And then there were about the student in Mr. Guo class. But students hardly knew each other unless the work in a group had taken a few courses together. Okay, next so over half of them were ESL students who had all passed the university SL and recruitment. Mr. Guo encouraged the student to come to him if they did not understand the course material or if they of the assessment. The two group assessment for the course accounted for 13% of each student course grade, and then 10% for the presentation and 20% for the term paper. The maximum group size for the group assessment was 5 students. The article focuses on the presentation task. This task intended to help students gain experience of working as a group and speaking in front of a group for their future job search. As Mr. Guo explained it in the interview, it's one way to encourage them to work as a group. Also, it helped them get some presentation experience in 2 years. They enter the job market and then they go to the interview and being able to speak out is very important. And then so the purpose of this assessment is to give them a course exposure to speak in front of group. It written recruitment impacted the most of the presentation team sold and then we encourage discussion rather than class presentation. Okay. Next, the explanation about research methodology by Cecilia. Let's go,
Okay.
Cecil.
Okay, thank you, Alma. Okay, so the next slide we would like to tell you about the research methodology in this article. So there are two research methodologies in this article. The first one is content and participant. Actually, Alma has already explained about this. So Mr. Yang has investigated the negotiations and challenge experienced by 5 Chinese ESL students of commerce through their engagement in an academic presentation in a regular content course at a Canadian university. So they are divided into two groups, and they should do presentation tasks. They should make a good presentation. So the second one is data collection and data analysis. All right. So Mr. Yang has collected many sources for this article. There were interviews about this topic, class observations, group discussions, emails, field notes, assignment jobs, and course materials. And Mr. Yang has also hear about the company or the opinion of the other students about this topic or this article. So there are the research methodologies in this article, content and participant, and data collection and data analysis. So the next one, we would like to tell you about finding and discussion. So here, first, negotiations. We find the negotiations in this article. So they use the peer dialogues when they negotiation to clarify the task requirements and to generate ideas, to seek shared comments and coach rehearsals. And then they have a challenge too when they do the presentation task. First, they underdeveloped English conversation ability. So they feel they're unfamiliar with participatory communication modes in the Canadian classroom. So when they present the presentation, they not ask the audience a question or answer the audience question because they feel unfamiliarity with the participatory. And the last challenge they have is their limited experience with group work. So they have to spend a lot of time when they negotiation or when they discuss about do the presentation. And the last one is grades and learning. So this week group received 7.5 out of 10 for their presentation. Why? Because they not engage with the audience. They not make interaction with the audience. They just present the presentation, they just present the topic, but they not make engagement to the audience. So they receive the minus point and they just receive 7.5 for the grade. Okay, so here the conclusion on this article. So this article, the present study contributes meaningful to our understanding of the negotiation and challenge that undergraduate ESL students experience through an oral group task. And this article provides readers with a rich, participant-informed description of motivated interactions among students, instructors, assignments, and the wider academic context. Okay, so that's all about our presentation today. We hope all of you can understand it. And if you have any question, please don't hesitate to contact us. We will do our best to answer your question. Okay, thank you for joining us today, everyone. Have a nice day.